Well, this World Cup, Australia has left us guessing as to which side is going to turn up to the ground. But today, the five-time dominant champions have shown up to the ground. They've managed 399 runs in 50 overs. Complete carnage. Maxwell, 106 of 44. David Warner, 104 of 93. Steve Smith got that 71. Van Beek got those 4 wickets, but nothing really to speak about the Netherlands bowling. We are back at Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami and I have DK and Joyda with me. Firstly, DK, just no words except for standing and applauding for what Maxwell's done. Your teammate, you know him very, very well, but he just went completely crazy. The big show's come to the party.
Unbelievable shots. I just thought the way he started, just the intent right from ball one, he wanted to hit those boundaries. You got to remember in Pakistan match, he was sent ahead and first ball he played a rather innocuous shot to get out. Now that would have really played on his mind this time when he came in. He played a couple of good looking shots to start and then brought out his reverse sweeps, lap sweeps, pull, everything. But overall, what a knock. A knock very much required for him. He hadn't been amongst the runs in the lead into the World Cup. So this is one which will really get his confidence up and running. A great pitch to bat on, as we spoke about. And when the runs flow, it does flow in every way possible. He was hitting runs from the back of the bat as well. So which tells you pretty much sums up how good the day has been for him. He's got a role to do with the ball as well. But all in all, I think he was the best batter today, and you can understand why they call him the Big Show. He's got some great shots and very eye-catchy shots to play.
Joyda, but the fastest century of the World Cup. Just 18 days ago, Markram scored the fastest century, got in 49 balls. He said, at least thoda to record rahega, but Maxi's come and broken it in 18 days.
No, absolutely. I mean, his own record was also, it never was a record. His 52 ball 100 he had in 2015. But I mean, the way he hit his shots, and I was just looking at his wagon wheel, and it's very interesting because his wagon wheel is exactly the opposite of normal classical wagon wheel. There's 1 4 and 1 run basically between point and mid-off. Everything else, so he's lapped them this way, he's ramped them this side, he's reverse swept this side, and he's hit them in cow corner. So the entire rest of the field is all covered out there, and that's the one space that's missing. And that tells you what, I mean, the kind of power he generated hitting reverse is just unbelievable. How does he get it? How does he get that timing?
The setup for him in such a way is that he is very good behind square. That's why even length balls, when he wants to pick up, he'll go in this direction and hit it. And he's always very good behind square of fast bowlers. But what was good to see, like you said, is he was hitting down the ground as well. Yes, you end up hitting a lot more sixes on the leg side because that's the strongest area you can swing your bat. Any small kid who takes a bat, if you tell them to swing, this will be their strongest swing. They'll always swing this way. And you can understand why. He's actually very good over covers as well. That's a shot that he's really improved. Didn't bring it to the 4 today, and I'm not surprised you didn't find it in the wagon wheel. But he is quite the player when he gets going, and this pitch also aids him. The speed is just perfect for you to hit those ramps. There is enough bounce that you can target mid-wicket and cow corner, like he said. So it was an innings that was laced with boundaries and good-looking shots as well. Not the shots that you usually associate with normal batters, but that's Glenn Maxwell for you. That's why he's always caught the eye of the public, and he's got the love and support of the Australian cricket for a period of time, only because of how much he can change a game in a short span of time. And we had an example of that today.
Joyda, he did this and dedicated it to his child. We've spoken about this earlier. I think since his marriage, since he's had that baby, he's a very different Maxwell. You almost seem like he's calmed down a little bit. His batting didn't show like he was calm, but the person has calmed down a little bit. So it's a different 2.0 Maxwell that we are seeing.
Absolutely. It's a 2.0 Maxwell. It's a Maxwell who's controlled, and as you said, that he would really want to make a big one out here. This is the land of his, of his in-laws. He's come playing for Australia in the land of his in-laws. He wants to make a big splash, and he's impatient. He got out to a shot before, and if you noticed, Cameron Green was, obviously inexperienced, much junior player, unable to rotate the strike, and Maxwell knows that this is an opportunity. This is ideal for him, and you can make out his frustration at the other end, that he's just waiting to get on strike. So when he did get on strike, he really used it, and that way I think in that sense Pat Cummins was smart. Whenever he had a chance, just took the single and let the big show continue. And I think that is, you need to, somebody like a Maxwell feeds off it. And the thing about Maxwell is when he gets one, he keeps going. He has, he's a very streaky player, and I think this is the start of a streak you're seeing, and it's very, very good news for Australia.
Also,
DK
I just on a funnier note, his son's name is Logan Maverick Maxwell. And that's why I think he went a little quiet on Logan Van Beek. But the rest of them, he just took them down.
That's a
But
great
DK,
one.
you were talking about how he, the reverses and the laps that he hits. You've spent a lot of time with him. So with regards to training, yes, one is stay back in the crease. He picks length, is what you just said. But is there something special that a Maxwell like a Surya do? Is it because they also are so risky when they play those shots? So is there some other kind of training they do?
So Maxwell is someone who practices these shots. If you did watch the match, you would have seen they played a little bit of footage as to what he was practicing, and he was practicing the reverse sweep because that's a very paying shot for him, and he is not scared to use it even in the first ball of his innings. So he relies on that shot, just like how people rely on a cover drive or a straight drive. He relies on that reverse sweep, plays plenty of it to spinners, and when he's not able to get going against fast bowlers, it's an option he uses. A lot of players who actually play different shots. Let's take AB de Villiers, for example. He doesn't practice the lap and the reverse lap. But there's also players like Maxwell who practice it in the sessions leading up to the game. So there are two ways to go about it. I am one who doesn't practice it so much. I've always tried and executed in the game. But these guys, the Maxwells, the Surya Kumars, they practice it quite a bit. But AB de Villiers, I've seen hardly practices any of those ramp shots and all that. But he is a maverick. I'm not comparing in any way to AB de Villiers. I'm just saying that there are different ways to do it. Yeah. He is someone who enjoys practicing it a lot more than a lot of the others do.
Well, the practices come to use because he's in this list of fastest centuries, 40 today, but just 2015 he was in that list and he got it in 51 balls against Sri Lanka. So he likes featuring on this list, Joy.
No, not just that. Breaking it by how many by 9 balls. I mean, to break a record by 9 balls takes something, And you could make the speed at which he was going. And the acceleration, it wasn't that he was striking very fast. He was striking in his first thing, he was striking at about 130, 140. And then he just went berserk. And that 28 run over, I mean, he was looking in total control out there. At that point, in your 40th over, you would have said Maxwell will reach his 50 perhaps. That he'll reach his century something would have been beyond all our understanding. Absolutely beyond us.
Because of what Maxwell's done to us, we can't forget how Warner set it up for them because yet another century. He got a century in the last match, a century again. He's got 104 today. We spoke about this in the pre-match show as well. He's someone who's now equaled the Masters record for 6 centuries. So he's in fine form, DK.
Right from the outset, the way he took on the off-spinners. Look, left-handers, off-spinners, a good matchup always, but David Warner is a bit of an exception. He plays off-spin really well. Sometimes he struggles like the likes of Ashwin, but not a lot of other off-spinners have troubled him. Aryan Dutt today bore the brunt of what David Warner had to do. Just the cut shots, and he has such a range as well with the cut shots. That's where his innings began. But as it progressed, you saw big shots all over. As you were discussing in the pre-show as well, he's somebody who's very strong. Because he's so short, he plays the pick-up pull really well, and it's very hard to bowl to him. And I think the Netherlands bowlers had a taste of what it was to bowl to Warner, and it is never easy. But again, getting his second 100 today back-to-back, it just tells you that Australia is slowly but steadily gathering momentum. If you remember the 2021 World Cup, the T20 World Cup that happened in Dubai, not many people thought Australia would be the team that will go on to clinch the trophy, but they somehow found some momentum and they just kept ramping it up game after game. It's good to see Australia slowly but steadily putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. A touch too early still. They have some work in various departments, but for the moment, a couple of the key players who they really bank on are doing well, which is good news for Australia, and David Warner is right at the top of it. If David Warner doesn't get runs, a lot of the times Australian teams struggle, so it's good to see him get those runs.
I think, we want to put you in a bit of a spot. There's a graphic that we have about World Cup hundreds. Can we put it up? There we are.
There's no spot.
Well, no, so we are saying there are some names out there, very familiar names. One name in third place. So our only question to you is, given the current form, Rohit Sharma, David Warner, who do you think will end up on top?
I think I'm a huge Rohit Sharma fan, but we've spoken about this. I think DK, you spoke about it. I think Warner will go up ahead only because Rohit's taking too many chances. He's in great form, but he's playing a very high-risk game. This is what you spoke about, and that's exactly how he's playing. And the way Warner's playing is he's almost taking his time, at least since yesterday and today. It looked like he's taking his time, setting himself up. So I think Warner's going to go past.
It also puts into context that graphic as to how good the modern-day player has started becoming in terms of consistency. Sachin Tendulkar, for all his greatness, 44 innings for 6. Rohit has done it in 22 innings, 700s. what David Warner's done it in 23 innings. Now, these are phenomenal. To get 100 every fourth World Cup game. I've played World Cups. I know it is unimaginable. These guys are special. We are talking about greatness. And, you know, to have Sachin Tendulkar in the same list is something that they'll be very privileged. But to go one up on him,
Yes.
I mean, phenomenal. You got to give it to these guys. Sometimes I think we take some greatness very lightly. These are two unbelievable stats.
No, you're totally right out there. I feel that when greatness is right in front of us, we don't realize. Like, I feel genuinely, and I've read of Indian cricket from Mohammad Nisar and Amar Singh to Kapil and Prabhakar. But for example, we know this is the greatest fast bowling attack India's ever had.
True.
And yet we don't recognize it for the genius it is because it's happening right in front of us. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Rohit Sharma's World Cup and David Warner's World Cup records are absolutely unbelievable. They're absolutely...
But Joyda, you think, you know, David Warner will just feel a little disappointed because we know he likes to get those 150 plus runs. So today he's gotten out for
He was
100.
mad at himself.
Yeah.
He was really mad at himself. He was telling himself, yaar, T20 match mein the double century mushkil hai. Aaj for Delhi Capitals, he plays in the same ground. Today, I'll have a double century. This is a good chance for a double century. He would have looked at it. And he's a glutton. And I believe that there are some players like that who look at it like that. They're greedy for runs. It's not a bad thing at all because it benefits your team. But when somebody like a David Warner sees an attack like this and an opportunity like that, plays the first 3-4 balls, realizes what the pitch is, he's telling himself, if I don't, I will be really angry at myself if I don't make it count. So if you remember, when the catch went down, he was like, okay.
Very calm.
Oh, thank goodness. You know, because this is a century pitch.
Well, he knew that catch had gone down, which is why he was calm. But we'll have a look at Australia's batting card. Yes, there was Maxwell and Warner, but great news for Australia is that 71 by Steve Smith and Labuschagne, Manas. I'm going to stick to Manas, getting that 62 as well. You know, DK, we spoke about this in the comm box. It's almost like they know that Head is now coming back into the team. Both Smith and Manas want to just prove a point and make runs because they know that one of them is going to go out.
They have a decision to make. One guy has just gotten runs this game and he's looking the part, he has experience. On the other hand, Manas Labuschagne has been their biggest run getter, most consistent run getter for a period of time now. There is a decision to be made and I think it will be a hard one, whoever goes out, unless and until they decide to drop someone else, which we never know. But there is a hard decision to make. But let's look at the positive side. They would have rather wanted to be in this position than be in a position when he's not got runs and he has to, you know, say sorry to them. But it was just good to see. Yes, Shraddha, you say?
No, I'm just asking one thing. Could they go for the third option and say that, you know, if he ain't broke, why fix it and leave Travis Head out?
I don't think they'll do that. And I only say that because he's a game changer. I mean, without him, it's different. It's one thing scoring runs against lesser confident Pakistan attack in Netherlands. As the bigger games come by, I think Travis Head has a massive role to play. Also, remember he has bowls off spin. He has that as well in him, and he's been their go-to player. He's the guy who gets them off to great starts, and both Warner and Head complement each other really well. He's not a player that they would really miss out on with the tempo at which he plays at. So I'll be very surprised if they do that. Let's put it that way. You never know in cricket, but I'd be very surprised. But yes, Steven Smith today was the part we spoke about in the comm box as well. The shots he played will give him a lot of confidence. He needed the runs. He was searching for runs. It's just sad that he couldn't get the 100, a brilliant catch by Ruloff. But overall, it is a very satisfying effort from Steven Smith. Just the fact that he was able to get the number of boundaries. To get 10 boundaries in 71 doesn't happen often. But in India, you can achieve it, especially in Delhi, because outfield is very, very quick. So that was good on his part. And as I said, Australia would rather be in this position where they need to make a hard choice because of the quality of performances than the other way around.
But Joyda, Steve Smith, we spoke about how he's so important to Australia. A player like him who's seen it all, he just needs a little bit of runs under his belt and then he just will keep going and rising. His stock will just keep rising.
Absolutely. Also, what happens is in your dressing room, you have players with that kind of experience, World Cup winning experience, captaincy experience. It's really good for you to have players like that. They've done that before. I've been part of a winning team. I know what it's like. I know what needs to be done out here. So it's important. Secondly, I think Steve Smith is a very good player of spin. And that's important for them in that middle order to have somebody. Of course, Labuschagne is also a very good player of spin. But that's it. Their idea is that they need one player who really plays spin in the middle because they are not always going to get Kotla type tracks. Yeah. They might get a Chennai track that's a bit slower than it. Hopefully, maybe even these tracks will slow down. If India plays against any team and they think that like South Africa, I think definitely the Eden Gardens will not play as fast as it normally does. So I'm saying if the game takes turn, if these pitches take turn, I think Steve Smith is a very vital part of it. And I think that's what they're looking at. They're saying that somebody needs to be there to rotate that. Either Labuschagne or Smith. I don't know who they'll go for. I think at this point, Steve Smith will get it not only because he's probably been there, done that before.
Well, Labuschagne, I just want to play devil's advocate. His strike rate was 131 today, and he's been someone who's consistently been doing well. Maybe not in the World Cup so far, besides today's game. He's consistently been doing well.
Yeah,
for
no,
Australia.
even this World Cup, he hasn't had a bad. His first 2 matches, he was the only guy who was scoring the first 2 matches. So he's had a good World Cup.
So considering that, considering his strike rate, if you have to take a call between, well, the master and the protege, if I have to say, who do you think you're going to pick? Matt Hayden was very clear and said, I think I watched him on one of his videos where he said that it's a no-brainer for me, Manas sits out.
And understandably, right, I will say I will also obviously go with Steven Smith because of the experience he's had. You got to remember the performances he's put up, and he was the first member, he was a sure shot in the team, and he's one of the leaders in the group, whereas Manas Labuschagne was a last minute inclusion. So you need to take all the dynamics into all of this. You got to understand the mood of the group as well, what happens off the field we are not privy to in a lot of the ways. So to keep the sanity of the group, and you want to take decisions that really doesn't hamper the whole dynamics as to how things work behind scenes, Steven Smith would be the right option. And you need to weigh all of this as a coach and a captain. Just can't be off on-field performances. Who adds a lot more value as a leader and can help Pat Cummins? These are the things that they will be thinking, and I feel hence Steve Smith will definitely get the nod ahead of Manas. If Steve Smith had failed today, then everybody would have said, Manas is the right option. But because he's done well today and you feel like he's getting into rhythm, you would want to give him that opportunity.
It's a very interesting point he's raised, because he said one part of it, DK's being polite, he said one part of it, which is that the help on the field, but also dropping a very senior player who's a regular member of the 11 and having him sit in the dressing room is not easy. I can tell you that. And there are situations, because it's like, especially in the IPL, what happens is you have situations where there are 4 top-class international players who have never sat in their life.
True.
I mean, a Brett Lee, a Brendan McCullum, Jacques Kallis, none of these players would have ever sat. Shakib, you've never sat out in their lives. And one of them has to sit out. It's like a weight in the dressing room because they're not used to it. It's not even that they're destructive, but just the presence of somebody there and say, so Manas sitting out is less of a problem for Australia, let's be honest, than Steve Smith sitting out. I am honestly saying that. I mean, just the dressing room dynamic, it is a different thing. And it is difficult. Even Steve Smith is the player, he may go out with the drinks, he may wear the, I mean, he'll do all of that because he's a team player. But it still makes a difference, I feel.
Well, no one knows dressing room dynamics better than you would do, Joyda. 10 years with a team, it teaches a lot, I'm sure. But
it's been more years, but yeah, I've watched it from the outside.
You're seeing it from the outside. That's a different learning altogether. As when you're a player, it's different. When you see it as a management, it's different. But another big positive for Australia today, we were off-air talking about how they've been collapsing, and we said, are we in for another collapse today after Warner got out? But then, of course, the Big Show came to the party. So the big positive for them are the partnerships, if we can have a look at here. So the Warner-Smith 132 stand, then there was the 84 between Warner and Manas. The 103 between Cummins and Maxwell is the highest 7th wicket partnership for Australia and World Cup, DK.
First part of your question, there was a mini collapse. English, Warner, and then Green getting out within 45 runs is a bit of a collapse at that stage. Against better opponents, it will be even more evident. But what happened post that was what will satisfy Australia. Pat Cummins and coming in and doing just what Joyda said. Just taking the singles, being very unselfish about it and saying, boss, Mr. Big Show, you please go ahead and do what is happening to you today is brilliant to watch from the other end. And he did the right thing. He was clever enough to take those singles. But I don't think that problem is fully addressed. I can tell you that. It is a question of 3 wickets falling within a matter of 6-7 overs, and you don't want that to happen. So that will still worry them, nag them a little bit. But as I said, the partnership that succeeded that followed that rather was brilliant. Big Show, Mr. Maxwell doing what he does really well, and Cummins being very clever about it, and in the end chipping in with a couple of boundaries right at the back end as well. So Australia, as I said, are gaining momentum. It looks good for them. There are small areas to address, and that's always the case in World Cups, but it's good to see them do well.
Absolutely. And I think you need to also have, because, if you look at the teams so far, who've been really impressive. You've had 3 teams who've been really impressive. There's been South Africa, there's been India, and there's been New Zealand. These are the 3 teams who've really impressed. Now Australia has gone there and said that, okay, I'm also a worthy semi-final candidate. Whether they reach there or not, I mean, England and Pakistan will have a lot of things to say if we say that, these people have already written their names in. But they've taken a giant step towards stamping their say and said that we are here, we are there to be counted. And once it's a knockout game, it's the day.
It's the day. Yes. Well, it wasn't the day for Netherlands today. We'll have a look at the bowling card whenever our graphics team is ready. But another record broken there as well. 115 runs that Bastille has given, maximum runs given in an ODI. No bowler wants to be in that record list, DK, do they? But where did they go? Where could they have gone? The Australians were just going completely all guns blazing.
The inexperience showing. Bastille, someone who bowls through the middle, and they back him at the death as well. But the pressure applied by Maxwell was showing on a Bastille. Most of the balls that he backs himself were going for boundaries and trying for the Yorkers. He obviously didn't land a few, which ended up going for more runs as well. The spinners being taken down in a large part thanks to Warner at the start and then through the middle as well. But it was a big show towards the end, and he was taking down fast bowlers. Their best bowler, Logan Van Beek, as usual. He's been a gun performer for them, and it was great to see him do what he always does. A very, very steady bowler whom the captain trusts, and you can see why he trusts him. Picks wickets up top, goes through the middle, and at the end he's very, very decent as well. So a very worthy performer for today. But other than that, I don't think the Netherlands bowlers had a great day. And to be honest, the best part of their the best part of the whole day, the best part of the first half was their fielding. I thought it was brilliant, barring the one lapse towards the end. I think they were really good on the field.
But Joyda, talking about those two catches that he's taken, Van der Merwe took that one catch which, was not out because he grounded it. You know all the rules and regulations. If you can just explain whether that was not.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to clarify with you, because rule 33.2.2, according to what is written out there, they say all it needs to happen is that the fielder must show control. If the umpire feels the fielder is in control, then he can hit the ball here also. He's still in control. So the point is that he did ground the ball. The question is, that means that the umpire did not sufficiently feel he was in control of the ball at that point in time. If he was in control, he can hold it like that and go down, and nobody will say a thing. And that's what I find intriguing, that in any other game you are not allowed to ground the ball, but here you can ground it, right?
It has gone to the discretion of the umpire. If he feels that you're in control of the catch, then it's done. If he feels that you're not in control, then again it goes back to the umpire. Whatever he feels at that point of time, as simple as that. If the pictures are inconclusive, and in most cases it is inconclusive, and hence they go up, so it becomes the third umpire's prerogative to go with what he feels for the moment.
Well, Netherlands have a really uphill task chasing 400, but Joyda, where are they going to go? How are they going to go? And, are they going to go completely crazy from the word go? Max O'Dowd, who's not been in the best form, he came into the World Cup with great runs, but he's had a dry spell in the last few games.
Look, this is my honest opinion, and I could be wrong. I don't think Netherlands want to do a Bangladesh. I don't think they're going to say that, okay, I'm 20 for 3 and then I'm going to play out the overs. I think they're going to try and make a spirited attempt at it. No matter how fast they reach, I think they're going to go for it. Because they are not, I think yesterday's game, because what happens when yesterday's game, and let's leave it for what it is. It was a brave performance by Mahmudullah, but by that time he was batting for individual glory. He knew that the team was far behind. There was nothing there for the team. And I think this Netherlands outfit is a very team-driven, very nation-driven outfit. They'll say, okay, we'll go guns blazing, but let's see how far we can take this. And I think that doesn't mean they'll hit stupid shots necessarily, but I think they will attack from the start and they will not stop attacking. That's all I believe. And I hope they do that, because for this to be a good World Cup, teams must play it in that spirit.
Yes. But DK, he is key to the Netherlands batting, because Max O'Dowd has been in the runs. So key for him to get big runs today along with Vikramjit.
At the start, he needs to get past Mitchell Stark's spell. If you remember the practice match that they played, he got a hat-trick, Mitchell Stark. So, that'll be at the back of his mind. Any batter who's getting out will always, be very wary of the bowler he's gotten out to. Either they'll take the aggressive option or they'll take the defensive option. It's interesting to see which one he chooses to do today. He is someone who's played a couple of good-looking shots every time he's got an opportunity to bat. Now, whether he goes on to score a big one is the important part, because for them to get anywhere close to the target, he is a very key player. But he looks like a guy who play cameos, but not the one who will get those big runs. They're far more dependent on the Vikramjit Singhs and Bastille through the middle and Scott Edwards at the end. And Teja Nidamanuru also gives them a bit with the bat, not so much in the World Cup, but in the qualifiers it was brilliant. So their batting does it have the potential to, stay in the chase? Yes, maybe will they get close? I would be very surprised. But Maxwell Dowd has a role in terms of getting them off to a good start because he plays those big shots against fast bowlers. And that is what they would like to see from him. If they get off to a good start, then only they stand a chance of staying healthy through the middle to push at the end, which is again asking for too much. But for the moment, Maxwell Dowd needs to play that initial spell of Mitchell Starc.
Well, there is Mitchell Starc, there is Hazelwood, who's been very good, but there's someone, again, good news for Australia, is Pat Cummins has come into form with the ball. So that's something, again, the Netherlands is going to be wary of, Joy.
Yeah, look, what I'm saying is simple, that, Pat Cummins has gone for runs in the first 2 matches. And I think then in Sri Lanka, he first discovered his mojo. And I think with Pakistan, he bowled better than that 62 runs in 7.3 shows. He was better than that, got hit towards the end. But my point is simple. Right now, at this point in the match, given what they are, what they'll want to do is tick all the boxes. So Starc coming back into form, that, in-swinging Yorker, toe crusher coming back, they want that box to be ticked. He gets a couple of wickets, his tail is also up. Because you've now got Maxi playing himself into form. You've now got Warner getting runs up front. You've got a middle order who scored some runs. What do you want? If you want those two, if Cummins can give it, because Hazelwood's bowling, and Hazelwood's like a metronome, he's just going on, he's just consistently. So if Hazelwood and Cummins can do something, and then maybe Maxi gives them a decent few overs if he needs to, I think they're done. I'll be also interested in seeing whether they bowl Cameron Green at all. They'll have to, right?
They will at some point of time for sure, but not a long spell. I'd see him bowl 3 or 4 overs, not more than that.
But DK, do you think, Australia will be looking at a very comprehensive win for the net run rate because they want that column to go up. So do you think that comprehensive win will also kind of just boost Cummins, the captain, which he needs that kind of a boost? The last 2 games have been good. He's looking at a hat-trick today.
Yeah, I think the Sri Lanka game was where he bowled the best 2 big wickets. Nisanka and the other batter he got out was a good wicket at that stage. Kusal Pereira was the man that he got out. It was a really good wicket because they were off to a great start. And then he struck well, and then they blew away Sri Lanka in many ways. So what I will be looking for is the lengths that he bowls, and he is someone who is just like the phrase he expressed, metronome. He's just very, very consistent with the net at hitting that length. Very different to Hazelwood. Hazelwood bowls a heavy ball. He is somebody who kisses the deck and just nips away if there's a little bit of seam movement. But for me, the key bowler again that I'll watch out for is Zampa. He's the one who has the potential to pick wickets through the middle, and if he does, then they will look at what you've been talking about, the big net run rate that they will require in this tournament, because it could very well happen that they'll drop a game somewhere. And then this game becomes so important in terms of the net run rate. So they will be looking to stop them to the lowest score possible.
But Joyda, is that the temperament a team will go in with when you go in right now when they go to bowl? Will it be that, okay, let's try and finish this off for our net run rate, or they just look at let's get a win in?
No, if you're bowling, you're saying I want to get them within 100. They want to go. And look, also, I'll tell you one thing. Somebody like a Starc, Zampa, these are very dangerous bowling. Just like, and I mean it in a bad way. They can hit good attacks also. But Maxwell is a destroyer of an average attack. Okay. Similarly, I feel that if you look at it that way, Starc is a destroyer of an average batting side. He can destroy average batting sides. A Zampa is very difficult to play if you're not a top quality team. So these guys against teams that are not that experienced in playing top quality international cricket, they can be destroyers. And I think that's what they'll want to do. They'll say that the batting has they've destroyed. They've not just played, they have smashed the opposition. They will want that from the bowlers.
Well, Maxwell has completely destroyed our prediction game. That's what he did. Because we were very close, GK. You and me thought we'll almost get there.
The story of today is that all of us thought we were close at some stage.
Correct.
Mini collapse happens. I said, I'm winning it. Then it came into DK's territory. DK just watched it go by. It's like Maxwell 6, it passed him. Past your territory, sailed past your face.
Sailed past my territory. No one expected that, but because he's destroyed our prediction game, we need to go for it. So take 2 for the day. Joyda, you go first. At the power play.
47. A mosquito has 47 teeth, so why not? 47.
New information, DK.
54. I don't know anything to do with 54 though.
47, 54, I will go lower with 41. 5 run, correct, yeah. 41, 47 and 54, that's what we've got. Well, like Joyda said, Australia should be aiming to get them under 100. So if that's the case, then hopefully 41 wins. We'll wait and watch. Don't forget to join us at the 15th over point at the Cricbuzz Combox. We'll see you soon.